4.5 hours, court will resume in the Brendan Banfield trial. This morning, Banfield's defense team will take their turn presenting evidence and witnesses they believe will exonerate Banfield in the killing of his wife and a man prosecutors say Banfield hoped to frame for her murder.
Yesterday, the prosecution rested after calling a final witness who testified about blood evidence.
Our Jacqueline Quinn joining us live from Fairfax County Circuit Court with some of the new details we are learning about this crime scene. Jackie, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. So as this turns over to the defense team, we're expecting at least 3 witnesses to be called to the stand here. Now, the lead attorney, that is John Carroll, says that the evidence here simply does not prove that Brendan Banfield killed his wife, Christine. And as you may remember, he says that Joseph Ryan was killed in self-defense. So yesterday on the stand, we heard testimony about blood evidence. The prosecution called a blood stain pattern analyst to the stand who testified that when officers arrived, Brendan Banfield was on his knees with blood on his hands. The defense argues Banfield was trying to help his wife, who had suffered stab wounds to her neck, and that she shot Joseph Ryan in self-defense, and that he shot Joseph Ryan in self-defense. Now, jurors also saw photos of Ryan's bloody hands. The expert testified there were different types of blood transfers, and that Christine Banfield's DNA was found on Ryan's hands. But prosecutors argue Banfield intentionally transferred that DNA in an effort to frame Ryan. The analyst testified that blood on Ryan's hip and jeans appeared to come from above while Ryan was already on the ground.
Both hands were blood covered.
Okay, and that would be consistent with someone who's rendering aid before first responders come, isn't that right?
It's consistent with him having blood on his hands.
Okay.
He did, looking at the first officer entering the room, he did have his hands on her neck.
That was something that he did until the officer said, "We're going to take over now," correct?
Well, when the first officer arrived, he was there with his hands on her neck, and then an officer directed him to move away, and then the officer took over trying to render aid.
Now, essentially, their prosecution, they were trying to prove that this scene was staged. However, the defense attorney also tried to get this case thrown out yesterday, saying that the prosecution did not prove their case. The judge disagreed, and that's why we're moving on with trial today. Again, at least 3 witnesses expected to be called for the defense. We're going to be inside. We'll bring you the latest and get you those details as soon as this gets underway. For now, we'll send it back to you.
All right, be sure to stay with WSA 9 for all of our local coverage. We are committed to covering this trial until the verdict is rendered. Our cameras will be back in the courtroom this morning, streaming it live. You can watch on WSA 9 Plus or go to our webpage, our YouTube page, for our coverage that begins at 9:45 a.m.
And there are several ways to stay connected here and up to date on this case. Just text the word trial to the number on your screen, 202-895-5599. We will send you a link. This is also where you can send questions for our legal experts.